Don't leave me hanging. It's go time.
Hey everybody, this is Josh, and welcome to another amazing game of StarCraft 2. This one will be played between drewbie, he is the red Terran up here in the top left corner of iCCup fighting Spirit, and his opponent is going to be Evil Genius's IdrA, none other than the amazing American Zerg player who lived in South Korea for like 3 years, played in Brood War tournaments, played in Code S over at GSL, and now he is back in America playing in this Justin.tv Invitational number 2. That's right, this is a best of 3 series between these two guys for the winner's bracket of that Justin.tv Invitational number 2. And iCCup Fighting Spirit, you guys might not be super familiar with it, but I'll give you a little quick rundown here. This is basically your entire main. You get a little bit of room to spread out a little bit. This cliff here is the only prone cliff for Reapers or Colossi. Your natural is actually just down this tiny ramp, just like you would see on basically any Blizzard map, with that 1 hex ramp where 1 force field can block it completely. And the natural is going to be very easy for IdrA to take. I'll be very surprised if he doesn't actually go hatch first on this map, as it is protected from basically all sides. This little tiny choke here is the only thing, the only entrance really for a player to get in there aside from drops, and even drops would have to come over the water, over this cliff here. Should be easy to spot with overlords in the right spots. So this choke, basically pretty easy to hold. There's another choke just outside of that one that you could defend as well, but then you open up this back door, which leads to your third base, or what is most likely going to be every player's third base. Again, a little tiny ramp here for force fields, and your third is up here on the high ground. So notice that it is actually rotational symmetry, like Delta Quadrant. So drewbie's third base is going to be here between the two players, and IdrA's third base is actually going to be down here, far away from drewbie's main and natural. So he actually has a little bit of a positional advantage as a Zerg player. If he wants to take a third base quickly, should be easier to defend than if he were in drewbie's position. So now let's pop back over to drewbie's base to see what is going on, and we'll notice quickly that he is doing a mineral only build, at least for the beginning of this game. No refineries being placed on either Vespene Geyser. IdrA, on the other hand, did get a hatchery up first, followed by a spawning pool, and now an extractor. So speedlings should be expected. They're not going to be the fastest possible speedlings. Instead, IdrA is focusing a lot on economy for the moment. His hatchery is going to be done here soon, and drewbie is just doing a 1-rax fast expand before getting any refineries up, so he's trying to keep up with the assumed macro style that IdrA is playing. And if we take drewbie's vision right now, he has scouted the other 2 locations. Now he is scouting these horizontal spawns finally, so he is going to be able to see what IdrA's been up to this whole game. We'll watch this SCV run through here. Unfortunately, IdrA does have a spawning pool finish already. Drewbie did see the edge of the creep and that natural hatchery already, so he can kind of assume what's going on already, should know the timings of those first couple of lings coming out, so his SCV is going to run back to safety. He's also throwing up a bunker quite quickly, so that when those lings do arrive, he should be able to either ward them away or actually score some kills. IdrA is going to run in here with his lings. Didn't mean to hit that. Meant to hit V. There we go. And he is going to run in, see the bunker building, and just basically sit there with his lings and wait until drewbie actually moves out with something. Do we have refineries? Yes, now we do have 6 SCVs mining. We have a factory being built for drewbie. No add-ons yet on that barrack, so still no real indicators of what he's going to be doing next. IdrA, on the other hand, has also started his lair. No Roachhorn or Baneling Nest, so it looks like Mutalisks are probably going to be his unit of choice to complement his speedlings, and speed will be done here soon. Drewbie has 5 Marines coming out here toward the middle of the map. Oh, and let me continue touring you around the map while we're still in this macro phase. Nothing super exciting is happening. You'll notice on the minimap there are no Xel'Naga towers, but right here in the middle you'll see big high-yield mineral patches here with 2 gas, rich Vespene gas. So if you steal this destructible rock, if you blow up the rocks, steal this base, you will have 2 high-yield gas geysers and a ton of high-yield minerals. I have never seen a player actually break down those rocks and successfully take that base, but you know, anything could happen. iCCup Fighting Spirit made its debut back in October. It was made by Josh Folland, aka Prodigy, and I know him because I used to cast with iCCup TV every once in a while, and this was a map that we used quite a lot for show matches and things. So Fighting Spirit, if you don't remember from Brood War, was actually a very popular iCCup map on Brood War as well. I believe it was Map of the Week many times, but they used it in the Korean Star Leagues as well, the original Fighting Spirit. So this is just a remake in the style of StarCraft 2. You know, it's not a shot-for-shot remake. Obviously, in Brood War, they only had one Vespene Geyser per base, and this StarCraft 2, you need two. So there are, of course, there's subtle differences, but Prodigy did a good job on remaking this map, and both of these players did play Brood War, so perhaps they're familiar with it, perhaps not. IdrA, of course, lived in South Korea, so I do believe he would have had a lot of practice on Fighting Spirit. drewbie was more of a 2v2 player back in Brood War, so maybe not quite as much experience with it, but either way, we'll see how this continues to unfold as we see the pre-igniter upgrade about to finish for drewbie, and armory being built as well, so Thors could be a possibility here soon. Lots of Hellions already built. Pre-igniter just finished, so Blue Flame Hellions on the move for drewbie. Let's see what he is actually able to accomplish here. If you look on IdrA's side of the production tab, you'll see a Spire going up and Baneling Speed. So it's going to be Speedling, Baneling, and Mutalisk for IdrA. Great defense there with those Spine Crawlers. Even if they're not finished yet, it is going to plug up that choke. Queen at the ready, going to try and kill off some Hellions as well. Obviously, those Queens are quite beefy and stand up to Hellions very well. Lots of Zerglings did get torched there, but if you look at the units lost tab, just for efficiency's sake, you'll see that IdrA is just barely behind after that altercation. He did lose more units, obviously, Zerglings, but the value is very close to the same. So drewbie is just going to check that third base, make sure IdrA hasn't expanded quickly again. He's going to check all the way down in the south spawn as well, just to make sure. Very thorough scouting. And back at drewbie's base, anything new happening here? We've got barracks numbers 2, 3, and 4 coming up. We have 2 factories with tech labs making Thors. I like that. He is, however, supply blocked for just a second before that Thor could actually start building. But now it seems to be A-OK. Starport coming up now as well. But IdrA does have his Mutalisks. First couple of Mutalisks, at least, already finished, taking out that SCV, taking out a turret. Now we have a lot of Mutalisks here in the air, and +1 flyer attacks being researched. So how many mutas is this? Just 5 for the moment. drewbie did build a command center already, preparing to take his third base, but that is going to be very difficult being placed between his main and IdrA's Mutalisks right here at this third. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it even, but we have an ever-growing number of Mutalisks flying around. There are a couple of turrets placed here and there for drewbie. Lots of Marines in that bunker as well, going to be able to shoo away the Mutalisks from the front of his natural. There are 8 now in this little clump, and drewbie does have a Thor as well. That is a great deterrent for Mutalisks. It's just like a splashing mobile turret as long as you're using it in a defensive capacity. Reactor coming up on, wow, all of these barracks, so he's going to be cranking out Marines and Thors, it looks like, to handle these Mutalisks. Not going to invest in siege tanks even. He's getting Stimpak 11.5 minutes into the game. That's how you can tell a player has not been bio-focused at all. Vehicle weapons level 1 coming now as well. Medevacs starting to be churned out, and looks like drewbie is going to be a little bit bold here and try and finally put this command center down, but he doesn't have any defenses. Now we see a couple of Thors finally arriving. Actually, he did get a couple of tanks and siege tech, but it looks like he's going to use them more defensively rather than offensively. And of course, as I say that, I see 2 more siege tanks in the production tab, so it looks like he is just basically going to go with that very standard Terran mix of Marine, tank, Thor. Actually, Thor is kind of the odd unit out. Sometimes we just see mass Marines and mass tanks so that the Marines can bounce around and try and pick off Mutalisks that are trying to bounce around and pick off siege tanks. It's a good counter of a counter, sort of. Looks like IdrA does have a lot of Speedlings now. He's got a ton of Mutalisks in the air as well. 17 Mutalisks. This is actually all of them right here, trying to do some damage at the natural mineral line. He takes out a turret incredibly quickly. Still has all of his Mutalisks still alive thanks to that clumping. The turret is unable to just focus down one Mutalisk, so IdrA escapes there with just a little bit of damage done. drewbie has successfully taken his third now with this planetary fortress. He's got a couple of turrets up as well, siege tanks at the ready, so Speedlings and Banelings, at least he'll be able to get a couple of shots off if they were to roll in there. Still very formidable Mutacloud, growing even more. 19 Mutalisks now. Let's go ahead and watch them fly around to the south of drewbie's natural. There are 3 turrets up now, though, so I don't think he's going to want to attack exactly from that angle. There are Thors and Marines waiting for him over here by the choke as well, so IdrA is just going to get out of there and head back home, perhaps. drewbie now starting to move with his 1-0 Marines. He doesn't even have combat shields done. There you see in the production tab, it's about to finish though. And infantry weapons at level 2 on the way. Mech weapons level 2 also on the way. He is going to start his slow crawl across the map, try and take out some creep tumors and things like that. Looks like an SCV tried to get some scouting information, but the Mutalisks did destroy it. drewbie's third, still doing good. Let's look at the production tab, not the production tab, sorry, the income tab, since we haven't looked at it really yet. And IdrA has taken 2 bases, 78 harvesters for IdrA against 64. Right now, we'll go back into the fray. Looks like drewbie still just scanning, killing off creep tumors, doing that slow push towards IdrA's base. And IdrA does have speed veins, speedlings, and lots of Mutalisks now doing a harass over at drewbie's third. Gonna be able to pick off a couple of turrets, and now there's no anti-air here at all. All of these SCVs are forfeit. drewbie tries to run a few of them away, but they do go down incredibly quickly to just these 1-0 Mutalisks. But now drewbie's saying, okay, I don't have time to keep scanning and killing creep tumors. Here we go. So the speedlings and banelings trying to get us around, trying to get into those soft little Marines. There we see the banelings continuing to roll on. They are going to actually finish off the majority of the Marines. There are only 4 left here, and now only 2 left. The Mutalisks came in and killed the rest of the Thors and tanks along with those speedlings. drewbie, upon losing his entire army, realizes it is impossible to win at this point. He only has 93 supply against IdrA's 158, and the Harvester difference is incredibly in IdrA's favor as well. So that is going to be it for this first game on iCCup Fighting Spirit, but it is a best of 3 series, so let's go into game 2 and see what happens next.